Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Triple N Media. I am Dr. Nik Nikam. The feature presentation is alcohol dangerous for your heart? I've been a cardiologist for 40 years, so let us explore some new reports that tell us about the effect of alcohol on human heart. Here's alcohol versus human heart. Of course, there are various kinds of alcohols like wine, beer, or scotch, blended or single malt. I just happened to be with my friend at Costco looking at some of these drinks. I don't particularly care for a drink, but my friend, in order to entertain his colleagues, they said they all wanted single malt, which is 5 to 6 times more expensive than the blended scotch. Anyway, that's a different story, but we'll come to that. First of all of us are very familiar with the effects of long-term alcohol ingestion or consumption on the human body in a variety of ways. One, it causes cirrhosis of the liver, where there is fatty degeneration of the liver. Then you have the problem of addiction, which can lead to family breakups and violent behavior and all kinds of stuff. Then we have people who are drunk drivers, some of whom end up in jail after 3 offenses. Alcohol can lead to depression. What most people don't pay attention to is alcohol can be, to a certain degree, protective to the heart in terms of getting coronary artery disease. But on the other hand, alcohol is dangerous to certain people where the heart can develop enlargement and lead to congestive heart failure. So there are more disadvantages to consuming alcohol on a large scale over an extended period of time compared to the benefit you would have by restricting alcohol intake. First of all, alcohol is not the most delicious drink compare it to. Other than the fact it gives you that real kick, plus it has that addiction properties, literally I think alcohol is a drink which you have to make it more tasty by adding something else. I mean, that's my opinion, you could vary from me. Or you can buy a single malt and say, hey, this is my single malt drink. I am more advanced than my colleagues who drink blended whiskey. How about that? Anyway, here is a study that looked at the amount of alcohol consumption and the incidence of coronary heart disease risk. Now let's make a distinction between, we are talking about two different things. Coronary artery disease is the blockage of the arteries leading to heart attack, heart failure, sudden deaths, and all these things. Cardiomyopathy, where the normal sized heart will become enlarged, baggy, and flappy, that is cardiomyopathy, which is also caused by alcohol, but that's a totally different phenomenon altogether that affects the myocardial cells structure and function, which leads to enlargement and heart failure. So here, this study looked at the coronary artery disease. If someone is consuming alcohol like less than 75 grams per day, they had like a 20% reduction in the incidence of heart disease. And in women, it was much less, like more or less like 25 to 30 grams. And beyond that, the risk went proportionately higher. So consuming alcohol more than, like, for example, 40 grams for women or 75 grams or 100 grams for men would in fact increase the incidence of coronary artery disease. So that is just one aspect. This particular study, which we are going to be talking about, looks at the heart failure. People who have like pre-heart failure versus existing heart failure, and see how alcohol affects their long-term prognosis. And if you look at the whole story of heart failure patients, as you can see, there are multiple studies which looked at as what is the cause of heart failure in these patients, and they found anywhere from 23 to 47% of this heart failure were related to alcohol consumption. That depends upon the country, where alcohol consumption varies from one place to the other. But in countries where there is heavy alcohol consumption on a regular basis, almost half of them had heart failures resulting from alcohol consumption. That is a very significant public health problem that needs to be addressed. Now, let's continue with this. How does alcohol affect the heart to result in a congestive heart failure? Of course, heart is made up of muscle fibers. Muscle fibers have to function normally. They have to be fed with proper nutrients, and they have to be able to contract and relax. However, alcohol can alter many things in terms of mitochondrial function, alterations in calcium metabolism, cell necrosis, leading to changes in the interstitial tissues that link the muscle fibers, and the oxidative stress. All of these can result in loss of pumping and relaxing functions of the heart muscle, which eventually leads to dilatation of the heart and reduction in the heart function. So that is known as the heart failure aspect of alcohol, which is much worse than developing or reducing the risk of a coronary artery disease. In addition to all the problems that I talked about, alcohol can also lead to inflammation, fibrosis, and arrhythmias, irregular heartbeats. People who drink alcohol can have palpitations or rapid heartbeats, which can be dangerous. And of course, the apoptosis or necrosis of the myocardial cells, like the cells themselves die because of alcohol toxicity, and a whole host of things that lead to the cardiomyopathy or heart failure, as we call it. Here's a study reported by the European Society of Cardiology on the effect of alcohol. Then this was predominantly looking at pre-heart failure and heart failure symptoms. Anyway, they looked at 4 different groups of people. The first group who drank no alcohol. It's kind of hard to find that group, I guess. The second group consumed like 750 ml of 12.55% wine. That is like it's supposed to be a low dose. The group 3 consumed like 3.5 units of 500 ml cans of beer or wine. And of course, group 4, which consumed the highest amount of alcohol, like more than 14 units of alcohol, or 2 bottles of wine, or 7 cans of 500 ml of beer containing 4.5% alcohol. And these people were followed for 5.4 years. Let's look at some of the results, which are very, very impressive. In the pre-heart failures group, those people who had like mild shortness of breath, maybe the heart size is at the upper limit of normal, and when this group consumed more than 70 grams of alcohol, I'm talking pure alcohol, I'm not talking about 4.5% and the rest is water or whatever it is, 70 grams of alcohol per week, they had a 4.5-fold increase in the incidence of pre-heart failure presentation. So if you didn't have heart failure before, and if you are having early symptoms, then your presentation would be 4 to 5 times worse than when you started before you consumed 70 grams of alcohol or more. And talking about alcohol being a protection to the heart for coronary artery disease, this particular study looked at people taking 1 to 2 ounces of drinks per day, and they found no protection against coronary artery disease. Remember, I told you 2 different kinds: heart failure due to enlargement of the heart, and coronary artery disease, which is the blockage of the arteries. So this study, in fact, proved three different things. Consuming alcohol greater than 70 grams per week can increase your risk of heart failure by 4.5 fold. Number two, even taking 1 to 2 drinks per day does not increase your protection against coronary artery disease. So what is the answer? Like I always say, have a glass with a drink which looks like wine and just sip on it and join the crowd. You see, you have to belong to the Jones and Joneses. I mean, that is the name of the game when it comes to alcohol. Other than that, most other things are harmful to your life. And the other thing you can do is have one drink and stop there and switch over to like a diet soft drink. As long as you're holding a glass, nobody's coming to come and put squeeze your neck and say, hey, get another drink, get another drink, get another drink. No, they're not helping you. They're telling you to join their crowd so that, you sync with them. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the endpoints are the more alcohol you consume, the higher is the incidence of heart failure. Higher is the incidence of pumping and relaxing dysfunction of the heart. And there is no protection to the coronary artery disease. Doesn't matter how much alcohol you consume. So this is a very quick synopsis of some of the new results from the European study. But the message is very loud and clear that alcohol is not good for the heart, and it is not good for so many other reasons, which I alluded to in the beginning of the presentation. And think wisely and do the right thing for yourself, for your family, and for your children. Their lives are riding on your mental well-being. Thank you so much for watching this presentation, and please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. I will see you in the next presentation. Thank you.